All right, we are setting up to be live. I am going to take the first few minutes of this stream to try and make sure that everything is working properly because live streaming is a bit finicky. So, you might see my microphone phasing in and out of reality over here due to the way that I have my webcam set up to try and remove the background. But today, hopefully, we'll have some people join us because we are going to dive back in to AliExpress to see some weird, crazy 3D printer stuff. And hopefully, we'll have some interesting conversations because last time we were dealing with hot ends and such. We are moving away from that aspect and going to motherboards and the various components because I haven't actually delved into that on AliExpress yet. So, we're about to find out what AliExpress has to offer. But, real quick, I'm going to do a voice check, so you're going to hear some echo. The various components because I haven't actually delved into that on AliExpress yet. So, alright, it sounds like my microphone is actually a little too loud. And that's okay. I think I can reduce the volume a little bit here on OBS. Testing, testing. Okay, we're going to listen to that again. Sounds like my microphone is actually a little too loud. And that's okay. I think I can reduce the volume a little bit here on OBS. Testing, testing. Okay, we're gonna listen to that again. Sounds like my microphone is actually a little too. Okay. I have lowered the microphone volume a bit, and I actually do have a gauge here, so I'm going to lower it even more just so we don't clip the audio. Still getting used to all this, but I'm getting better at it. This microphone used to be behind my monitor, which is why it sounds so far away, because it was far away. Oh, I knew I would tell y'all when I was doing a live stream again, but I ended up accidentally uh, not making the community post because I have been very busy as of late. Da, 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 da. I got a message telling me about my upload rates. Stream status good. It's not excellent. I still have to adjust OBS because for whatever reason it's my monitors are 4K resolution, and I would rather it compress and go to 1080p for the live streams, but have yet to figure out a way to make OBS do that without like cutting off a majority of the screen that I'm trying to show. Still, do 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 do. If you're in the chat, say hello. But we're currently waiting for people to kind of come on in, see if we can't get this going here. And so, if you're viewing this, just after the fact, feel free to skip ahead to a more relevant part. I'm still trying to get everything set up properly. Each stream gets a little better, though. And see if we can't get this going here. And so, if you're viewing this, just after the fact, okay, yeah. At least the audio sounds good. I'm actually using RTX video and RTX voice, which not bad. Does a pretty good job actually. But gotta have a good handy dandy drink. All right. So we're sitting here. It's Friday the 30th of July. All right. So again, we're just kind of sitting here, kind of waiting for people to join. I know some people don't really get the notifications, but what I'm going to try to do real quick is on. No, I don't think making a community post would even really work right now to let people know. But that being said, we're just going to look at stuff and kind of go from there. So, what we're starting out with today, some 2209 stepper motor drivers. 2209s. So, there's a number of different stepper drivers you can get for motherboards out there that allow you to swap out the drivers for various other drivers that have some features, and some drivers handle certain features better than other drivers. And that is the reality of things. I haven't really dived down into that rabbit hole yet. I plan to, but not quite yet. I currently run TH3D EasyBoard lights in my printers because they are wickedly solid and they have run without error for many thousands of hours, and their firmware is incredibly stable. But that being said, there's plenty of people out there who definitely want to jump into the let's compile the firmware ourselves camp. And I think that's pretty darn cool because there's so many options out there. Now, my EasyBoard Lite uses 2208s, which at this point are kind of old, given the state of how quickly 3D printer stuff moves. And 2209s have some features that are, how should we say, a bit more refined, or it's hard to find the right word for it, but 2209s definitely do certain things a little better than 2208s. And at the time, when I had purchased my EasyBoard Lite, which was like over a year ago at this point, 2209s weren't really being used all that much. It was relatively new to the 3D printer industry, and because of that, they were not really thoroughly tested. And if you're putting out a board where your main claim to fame is the quality of the components and the longevity of its usability, you don't want to put experimental stuff in there for a retail product just because, hey, if something goes wrong, you're liable for it. And their boards, they have the drivers soldered into the boards. Now, to be fair, there are boards out there that implement 2208 drivers pretty badly, from what I understand. And then you've got boards that do 2208s just well. One of the issues with 2208s is using linear advance feature in Marlin that regulates the pressure in the nozzle. The problem with them is... Well, actually, I don't know the exact problem with them because on my EasyBoard Lite, I can run linear advanced without any issue with 2208s. But for what I understand, not every single 2208 is going to work well with that feature. And another thing is, you look at these individual stepper drivers, and they usually come with a heatsink, and part of that sometimes is due to bad heat management, and certain designs just don't allow for the transfer of heat in the motherboard case to be effectively pushed out. So, and that can cause things to overheat, obviously. You're not bringing in cold air and you're heating these up. So they often come with a heat sink. Sometimes there's just add a heat sink because why not? It'll keep the components running more cool. And in theory, the more stable the temperature is for a component like this, the longer it'll last without having to replace it. So that's not a bad idea. I was thinking about putting some heat sinks on my EasyBoard Lite just because, hey, it runs a lot. I mean a lot. It's been a few days since I printed something, but the market's currently kind of a bit in a low point right now in terms of sales. So I just backed off on printing for a bit. But I do like that the documentation for these things is getting better. And when we were starting out with this sort of stuff a few years back, the documentation was like almost completely user supported, and it's just finding any support directly from the manufacturer wasn't a ginormous pain in the butt. You can clearly see what it wants you to do. You know, we got jumper pins on some of these. To configure some of these, it's partly you're configuring some hardware, and you're definitely configuring Marlin for particular drivers, because you need the firmware to be able to tell the hardware what to do. And of course, you need the hardware to be configured properly, because if you accidentally reverse that stepper driver, there's not a lot of boards out there with protection for it. And if you put it in 180 degrees, magical purple smoke. And yeah, that's how you set things on fire. Now, the reason I want to talk about these boards is because there is so much to go over with this, and one of the problems is there is so much competition in this space that various companies are packing in as many features as they possibly can. And they're also competing on price point. And there's an issue with that. When you compete on price point and features, you have to sacrifice somewhere. And a lot of times the sacrifice comes in the quality of the components. And what I'm talking about is it can be something as basic as these terminals right here being really cheap, kind of just no-name garbage, right? And you can have an issue where they do not clamp down properly, and they can let a wire go by accident, and then you get a small short, and that's how the board can kind of magical smoke and sort of set itself on fire. But sometimes it's not even like that. Man, I mean, if you look at all the things on here, right, it's not actually all that complicated. They've gone through the process of making things color coded, which I think is an absolute step in the right direction. But it's hard to tell because without having the specifics. But when you're pricing boards like this at like $30, there's usually a good chance that it's not running like genuine parts. And by genuine parts, I mean, again, I go back to TH3D for this, because if I had going through the Discord for TH3D, there's a lot of people who have SKR boards and easy board lights, right? And the amount of people that have gone through a bunch of SKR boards is pretty high. The failure rate is pretty high on them. And these aren't people that are relatively new to 3D printing. These are people that have been doing it for a while, and the parts just don't hold up when you use the lowest end parts. That's just the reality, is eventually things break on pretty much everything. And you kind of get what you pay for, you know? And, you know, some of these boards are built really well. I will grant that. We got like the SKR 1.3, 1.4 right here. And there's no doubt they pack in a bunch of features, and there's new things coming into Marlin all the time, right? So you're constantly updating the board to add new features, and sometimes there's even some recalls involved with this. I have seen companies voluntarily, and we're talking these Chinese companies, voluntarily like admit a mistake, which is good. You know, if there's an issue with the manufacturing or a particular part, a lot of times they will offer a replacement part that'll fix the issue, or they'll offer the replacement board, or a refund, or store credit, or something like that. Sometimes they'll give you a little extra if you go with the store credit. They'll give you like the equivalent store credit to get a new board plus a little extra. I've seen that happen once with some of these Chinese boards that are relatively cheap. And man, I'm just wondering where to even begin with these because they get so complicated. So, let's see. We got a lot of maker base stuff going on here. Okay, I know exactly where we're going to start. I'm about to throw some shade at a company. A company that I can't for the life of me think of a good thing they've ever put out. Y'all ever deal with a company and think to yourself, wow, this is surely just a one-off issue, right? But then you keep trying their stuff and you give them a second, third chance and you're like, wow, they really don't know what they're doing, do they? Well, that's Two Trees. I don't think I have ever had a good experience with anything from Two Trees. In fact, I remember I bought my first experience with Two Trees was buying a PEI sticker covered spring steel sheet, and I used it within the guidelines and specifications that was posted for that build surface. And what ended up happening is the PEI sticker just ripped to shreds when pulling a print off. And in addition to sending the product back, I'd have to look through my emails, but I believe there was an attempt to try and throw money at me to remove my review. And I'm just like, how about no? I hate when companies do that sort of thing, man. Actually, you know what? Maker Muse just released a video about this sort of thing. And let me tell you what, because I've been doing reviews for many years on my YouTube channel. Over like 10 years I've been doing reviews. And I've got a backlog of like 100 different Chinese companies wanting to send me a bunch of garbage. And almost every single one of them, they want to, purchase it on Amazon and we will refund you via PayPal the cost of the part or the components and you can leave us a good review and keep product for free. And I'm like, how about no? Because the only reason you want me to do it like that is so it says Amazon purchased review, Amazon verified review, because it was purchased on Amazon, right? And so you can get like free sponsorship. And I'm just like, no. And then I send them my gigantic list of terms and conditions for me to review their products, and almost every single one of them does not reply after that because they realize, oh, this guy's not just going to be a mouthpiece for us and all that. And I'm just like, yeah, because I'm not a liar. Now, the companies that agree to it must really believe in their product because I have torn into companies, especially some Chinese companies, that just like resell white label products under their own brand name. Holy cow. And the amount of times they have tried to get me to remove or retract a negative review is almost guaranteed. And dude, Maker Muse hit it on the nail on the head. He really did. Like, everything he said is absolutely true, but it's not just the 3D printing industry. It's literally everything. Literally everything you can think of. There is a Chinese company that is going from AliExpress and just selling it for a markup to cover the extra cost of selling it on Amazon. And it's just a white label product, meaning there's a base manufacturer, they'll slap whatever name you want on it for a small fee. They take that, resell it, and they have no idea what they're even selling. And most of the time, they've never even seen the product in person, allegedly. Because, tell you what, Two Trees is one of those companies. Because I've bought another thing from Two Tree, which was a X-axis belt tensioner for an Ender 3. And if they had ever actually put that component on an Ender 3, they would have known it does not fit in any way that you can place it. Two trees. And then, I think I watched another video. I think it was Stefan from CNC Kitchen. I don't know if it was Stefan. I actually don't remember which. There's a few 3D printer YouTubers that I follow. But the problem was they couldn't even. No, I think it was actually teaching tech. Man, I gotta look that up. Don't quote me on one of them. But they tried putting it together, and the thing was such an absolute piece of junk that they couldn't actually get it to work with the supplied components. They had to go to another 3D printer, sketch up some designs to fix the problem, and then they can get a mediocre print out of it. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, Two Trees doesn't actually know what they're doing. I am pretty sure they are just taking a product that a white label manufacturer has put out there, slapped their name to associate to it, and just tossed it into the ether for people to buy. Because I don't think I've ever actually seen a Two Trees product in hand that has actually worked properly or well, or looks like they've even tested it. It's actually kind of shocking. But that's what you deal with sometimes. And they've got something here, and it's just a 2208 stepper driver. I mean, this is something that literally dozens of companies have available. Now, it's not like a genuine Trinamic 2208, because that would be much more expensive than some Chinese replica. But it's certain little things you think, like, how could they possibly mess this one up? And then they find a way. So it's just these little things that, like, certain companies, and I know I'm ranting here, but I mean, until I am proven otherwise, like, someone's got to show me a product from Two Trees that actually works as advertised, and then maybe I'll actually believe they do something other than just what I think they're doing. But boy, let me tell you, I I cannot remember a good thing, a good memory of a Two Trees product. Oh boy. But the 2208s in my motherboard are genuine Trinamic TMC 2208s because TH3D. Oh, I think that is the Trinamic. Is that the Trinamic symbol? You know what? Hold on. I actually want to look something up now. Is Trinamic? I want to look up their actual symbol. That is, in fact, the Trinamic logo. So, assuming that it really is what this says it is, because there's also a lot of bait and switch that goes on with this sort of thing. That, some companies are shameless, and I'm not accusing of Two Trees, using this to falsely advertise, but I am saying that it's not necessarily Two Trees, but I know companies have done things before, like they'll label something as like a high-wind linear rail, and it's not actually a genuine high-wind part. And there's things like that, and if you don't know what you're looking for, then you won't be able to tell the difference. But I tell you what, there is such a difference between genuine Trinamic parts, genuine high-wind parts, genuine Ultim products. There's a difference. Not always a huge one, but if you're aiming for perfection, there is a reason to get one over the other. Okay, cool. We got some people joining, which is cool. John says, "Sorry, I'm late." It's all good. Most of the beginning of this stream was just calibrating everything. As you see, my microphone is closer to my face now, so hopefully my voice doesn't sound like garbage. It's configuring OBS and trying to figure out where I was going to start today because we're delving into a topic. Now, here's the thing. We're going to be talking a lot about these boards And it's going to be interesting because I actually don't have a ton of experience going with all these different brands of boards. Because, man, there's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of configurations to be made. So this ought to be interesting. Now, one thing I'm wondering is the SKR boards. Either they I'm assuming they got to be open source because there's a lot of different manufacturers. I know Big Tree Tech is the main one that did the SKR boards, and in fact, you can get SKR boards on Amazon now, so you don't have to buy them on AliExpress. They are more expensive on Amazon because they have to import it, then stock it in Amazon, and Amazon charges a fee to sellers to hold their inventory in Amazon warehouses, and then they gotta sell it to you and still make a profit. So they are more expensive on Amazon, but if you want it quickly and you're in the United States, you can get SKR boards now in the US. You don't have to go on AliExpress. So besides my rants on Two Trees there, because prove me wrong, Two Trees. I'm begging you, please. Like, I just cannot. I just cannot remember a good thing about them. But that's my personal opinion, you know. So here we go. Big Tree Tech, the SKR version 1.4 Turbo. This is kind of funny because okay, when it comes to computers and stuff, there was a time when I was quadruple certified in computer networkings and cybersecurity, computers, network, cybersecurity. Those certifications have since expired. That was a long time ago, back when I was in college. And actually, I believe 2 of those certifications qualified for stacking certs, which they're CompTIA. They're on my wall here as A plus, Network plus, Security plus, and certified as Computer Internetworking Technologies Micro Servicing Technician. That's a mouthful. And I can tell you one thing: building a computer to work as a general product is actually probably easier nowadays than building and compiling the firmware for a 3D printer, which is actually saying a lot because it's not all that hard. Once you know the basics of how to edit Marlin, and then you can compile it and upload it to the motherboard, it's actually not very hard. And that's kind of a testament to how easy it is to build computers nowadays. You know, I didn't really stay in that field because, you know, technicians are kind of a dime a dozen nowadays. When I was going into college, everyone said, go into a STEM field. STEM's really popular. And then everyone did. And then, oh, there's too many people out there and not enough positions to fill. And I learned something very, very quickly after I got out of college and all these certifications that I had is that any job that can be done remotely will be outsourced to another country where they can pay someone with the same qualifications less than the minimum wage of what they would pay you. That's just how technology is. If you go to Best Buy, most of the time they don't have like real technicians. They may have 1 or 2 on staff, but most of them are like people who've been working in the sales department in the tech area for a while, and all they really got to do is get their computers to connect to the internet. And then they have someone from like India, for instance, and they'll just remotely connect and do the work there. And if they can't do it that way, they'll be happy to sell you a new computer over on the shelf. I mean, that's how it was a number of years ago. I don't know how it is now. John says, just an FYI, after your last stream, I ordered a Microsys M2 hardened steel nozzle and also a 3D Maker engineering hardened steel nozzle, Polymax nozzle to try and see how they fare. Rock on, man. I would love to see how those two play out against each other. Because the more info we have on established brands and even just the Chinese brands too, the better decisions we can make about the purchases. But I have ranted so much so far. We're going to try and stay on topic now. because we're finally getting things going here. All right. So, the duets. Here is a name that brings a feeling of hurt in the wallet. Now, there are genuine duet boards, and then there are clones of the duets. And the actual genuine duet boards are, I believe, around $200. But before I go and actually say that, let's actually look it up. Duet printer board. So I believe they're made in the UK. Because the motherboard is completely different. The firmware is completely different. Okay. A little wrong, but there is, like, if we're converting, because yes, Duet, for looking here, is in the UK, and it is $120 for this board. Now, this is the main board, and I believe there's a sister board or a daughter board that connects to it on the bottom here. It's 120 pounds without VAT, and after you add VAT, and if you were to convert it to US dollars, it's getting kind of close to, well, actually, I don't know what the current VAT is, but it's getting there in price. It's getting there in price. We've got a ways to go before it gets to $200, but I don't know what the exact conversion is. You know what, man? We're doing this live stream live. We're all learning today. 120 pounds to dollars. What does that actually come out to be? $166.86. That's before VAT. And then you add the value added tax to it, and it gets close to $200. So I actually wasn't far off. Man, the US dollar is not doing great compared to the pound as of right now. But that's a subject for another time. But, so what I'm getting at is the Duet 2 is almost $200 for the genuine thing. And then we've got cloned Duet 2. That's what it says. $52 to $58 roughly. What are the differences in reality? Probably a lot. Because, you know, okay, we've got a good diagram here. But you gotta wonder, so, okay, the supply chain for making this sort of stuff is all very close. If you've ever watched a video of what it's like in Shenzhen, China, where you have this market, it's like AliExpress in real life. Linus Tech Tips, and then, oh god, what is the one dude? Is like Unusual Parts or Strange Parts, something like that. Did some awesome videos going through the markets there and everything. Doesn't actually turn out to be all that much cheaper than just ordering online, but is really interesting to see how close everything is. So if you wanted to build something, like, all the stuff is there. It's in Shenzhen for the most part. Now, if you're looking at the actual semiconductors, a lot of that is done by TSMC, which is... can't really say because I'm afraid YouTube... I don't know YouTube's stance on that. They might be upset. Let's just say a certain famous wrestler made a distinction between two areas in that part of the world and got very, very much in trouble. But you know what? This is the United States. The United States recognizes Taiwan as its own entity. And you know what? It might as well be. The United States, like, I'm in the U.S. The United States is an ally with Taiwan and recognizes their sovereignty. So I'm just going to say it. TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, is responsible for making a lot of the semiconductors, the processors, etc., whatever you want to call them, right? That goes on everything from your computer to the ECUs in your car to, I believe, even some of the things here. And being so close to all of this stuff. In fact, I got a funny story about AliExpress. So I have a genuine Highwind linear rails on one of my machines, and the other machine, which is kind of my clone Ender 3, has just some general. We it's often referred to as Chaiwin because it's a Chinese knockoff of a Highwind rail. And I remember I ordered one directly from a distributor that is a direct distributor from Highwind. And there was a distributor based in the United States. So when I got that, I noticed the packaging said made in Taiwan. I'm like, okay, so these things are made in Taiwan. You go ahead and Google them. They say they're based in Taiwan. Then I ordered some linear rails from BLV on AliExpress, and they came in and they looked genuine. They had all the right markings and laser engravings and all that, but it said made in China. And I was like, well, that's not right. Highwind's made in Taiwan. And then I contacted the company and said, "Hey, is this really a genuine? Is this really a genuine Highwind linear rail? Because it says made in China on this package." And I never got a response. And then I thought about it a few days later. I'm like, "Oh no, they actually cannot respond with anything because if they make any distinction, if they say something, because AliExpress sellers are based in mainland China a lot." And if you make a distinction between Taiwan and China, they can get in real trouble. So they couldn't answer that question even if they wanted to because politics, man. Politics be getting inside of our 3D printers. And I tell you what, I realized I had asked them a question that they could not answer. I'm like, whoops. But for what it's worth, I think when I did order it, even though it said made in China, because China and Taiwan, it was probably a genuine product. That's just the reality. But it's little things like that in our 3D printing industry, and really a lot of industries that you might not think about when right off the bat, and then it's oh man. But yeah, yeah. Now I'm reading. I'm reading. John says, "Yeah, you think politics is bad here?" I'm like, "Yeah, no. We're a lot of us who are enjoying 3D printing as a hobby. I imagine are doing okay." That being said, that was my random political story about components and some things you might notice when ordering from AliExpress. These are just some things to be aware of. But then you've got this duet board, right? And you got to wonder, how are they making this clone so cheap? And was the duet board supposed to be open source to begin with? Actually, I don't know if the duet board was supposed to be. You know what? We're doing a live stream. Let's learn together, y'all. Is the duet board open source? Yes, the duet is open source hardware developed using open source tools, specifically KiCad, for the hardware design. Cool. Or at least that's coming from the Duet 3D wiki. Okay, cool. Awesome. So, there is in theory really no big issues with buying a clone. But what do you get with a clone compared to the real thing? I mean, yeah, you get the blue PCB, which is kind of cool looking. It looks like, based on these symbols, right? These are the logo symbol, or the emblems, symbols, logo, whatever you want to call it. The picture that represents Trinamic. So it looks like they're using actual Trinamic drivers, and it's soldered into the board. That's cool. And we've got the we got an ARM processor on here, and I couldn't tell you much about that ARM processor, but I mean, you look at it and it seems good, but you know, let's look at the reviews here. But John's asking what boards do I currently run, and I run TH3D Easy Board Lights in my builds, and TH3D is actually about to release version 2 of their Easy Board Lights. And what I can say from my personal experience of literal thousands of hours of printing on the boards is that they are absolutely solid. They have no problems that I can really discern. The only issues I've ever had with Easy Board Lights is just firmware teething issues because it runs Marlin 2, and Marlin 2 is still more or less in beta. They got a lot of features they're adding, and there's a lot of things to iron out. So when you buy into an ecosystem that's tied into Marlin 2 and not Marlin 1, you got to remember that there's going to be teething issues, so to speak. You got to let the whole thing just kind of refine over time, and man, support the Marlin devs, man. They are doing freaking good work. Like everyone that works on the Marlin firmware project, and of course we've got Octoprint, which almost everyone is running an Octoprint for sure when they're running Marlin for various reasons. There's so many good reasons, but absolutely love the TH3D boards because they are solid. If I'm running a machine that is what I would consider to be a production machine, something that runs nonstop, I pony up for a genuine part most of the time because genuine parts are proven. You know, you know what you're getting with it. And with all this, hey, you know what? It looks like they're actually giving proper attributions to the open source. I think that my guess is that right there on the motherboard is probably required to be there as part of the open source license that they are using for the design. I think that's awesome that even this Chinese replica is giving some sort of credit to the people who do the work to make these things and to build the foundation of what we use to 3D print. I've never seen that before. I've also never run a Duet. I've heard that customizing Duet firmware for new hardware can be kind of a pain in the butt. I know, I think it was Tim at TH3D. He does live streams once in a while, and he was configuring the Easy ABL to work on Duet boards. And I remember getting in at like the tail end of that live stream, and you know he was talking about how there's obvious differences between making it run on RepRap firmware versus Marlin, and it was a little difficult. You know, rep rap. Try saying that 5 times fast. Hold on, rep rap. Hold on, y'all. I'm getting a fact. In case you're wondering, that's my ringtone on my phone. Uh, I am aging myself so hard right there. My goodness. Can anyone. Yo, y'all just heard that, right? Please, someone tell me y'all heard that. Hold on. Wow. So, autocorrect has a way to go. Sorry about that. Minor, minor interruption. So we're still diving into this. So okay, the reviews seem to be pretty good, but a lot of times the reviews on AliExpress aren't actually reviews. They're just something to say that, hey, I got the package. But a lot of them, if you actually read them, they say they haven't tested it. And it's not just like boards, it goes to a lot of things. So, John says, I thought I was hearing things. I'm like, yeah. Oh, man. Oh, the dial-up ringtone. I have the dial-up sounds like remixed into like music, and that's my ringtone on my phone, right? And I am 28 years old. You get someone who's just maybe a few years younger than me, just a few years younger than me, and they have no idea what that noise is. And it's hilarious. Oh, man. Oh, but, ooh, man. Tell you what. Man, we're actually doing good. We're getting people on the live stream. This live stream was a bit impromptu, and shoot, man, I may have not thought this one out right. But let me see something here. Okay, no, got a friend coming over, right? So I may have to cut this live stream short, but while I got y'all here, because I'm absolutely going to be doing a proper live stream, and I'm going to let everyone know in advance, like at least 12 hours ahead of time, to let them know I am live streaming so y'all can join in properly. Because I have accidentally started this live stream at a little bit of at a time when I thought I had more time. But tell me, how is the audio? How is the video? Because this is probably going to be the setup for next time, and I want to actually have people's opinion on how everything sounds and looks right now. And yeah, I goofed a little bit on starting this stream right here, but absolutely going to be doing a proper one soon. Promise you. Promise you that. And hopefully we'll actually I won't rant as much. I won't rant as much. I'll actually stay on topic. Now this duet board is actually kind of interesting. Like a lot of these duet boards and these Wi-Fi add-in cards are just little chips, but this one's got a proper antennae, and this I prefer because if I remember correctly, back from my networking days, uh, there are reasons to have an actual antennae, which we should definitely talk about. All right, so I'm getting some feedback here. It says sounds good, video too sounds good, bitrate not the best. No problem. All right, cool. So one of the problems I'm dealing with, and I got to figure this out, is OBS is sending my live stream as 4K, and that is not good because of my upload speed. So I gotta configure OBS to take my screen, compress it down to 1080p, and then you guys should have a much better experience with this. So I gotta tweak that. But I did move my microphone closer. That's why you see it phasing in and out of reality over here. So I'm hoping the voice is better than the last two live streams. And I'm tweaking RTX voice to try and sound a little better. So that way it doesn't sound like I'm just way in the distance. Steve says, this is randomly just in my recommended. I'm not disappointed. Well, hey, happy to see you drop by. Definitely going to be doing this again. This is more of a test live stream. So we're definitely going to be doing this proper. You know, hopefully, because our last live stream was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Y'all made it a blast. And none of these live streams are monetized. You won't see ads during a live stream because this is really about hanging out and talking about this stuff because there is so much to talk about. So, as long as the audio sounds good as long as the video is coming in clear. I have the latency settings for live streaming as sort of delayed to try and make the video better. Because if you're like gaming or something, you can make it like really, really low latency. That comes at the cost of the quality of the video, and we're not doing anything like that. So I'm trying to make everything halfway decent. And because of that, I have some tweaking on the software side of things. My hardware is perfectly capable of doing it. I've got a 16-core Threadripper CPU and a 2060 GPU Super for my GPU and 64 gigs of RAM on this thing, so there's nothing holding me back there. It's just OBS. I got to get used to that firmware. So, okay, cool. Uh, I will be putting the live stream time for the next time when we actually do the real live stream in the community tab on YouTube, and I might make a short. What I might do is I'll do a community tab post, but I'll also make a YouTube short telling you guys what time the live stream is going to happen. And what I want y'all to do, if you want to join in and add to the conversation, find some stuff on AliExpress, and that's 3D printer related. And if it's worth looking at on the live stream, I will bring it up and we will just discuss it, because I do want to interact with everything. This is not just, it's not supposed to be me monologuing. It's really supposed to be about interacting with y'all. So if you find something interesting, save it, and we will totally talk about it, because that's the fun part. So, all right, I think we got our plan, right? Community tab post, short on YouTube, or YouTube short on it, and yes. So we have our topics. We're going to be talking about the motherboard components, the electrical components. Cool. Sorry about the timing, guys. I know this kind of bums me out because I was starting to get into the groove because I've been swamped with a bunch of other stuff today. But soon, guys. Soon. So I will see you guys later. But hopefully I will actually see you later. Probably not today, but in the very near future. Thanks for stopping by, though. I really appreciate you guys helping me with some feedback on the video and audio. I'm going to get the video thing rectified for the bitrate. So next time, should be good. So until then, I will see y'all later.